audio level. Yeah, that's good right there. Yep, need to do that. All right, cool. Well, we are live with the Coaches Show. Welcome on in, everyone. Let me make sure on Facebook that it's. Well, we'll go ahead and get started as people trickle in. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just another day in paradise. You know how it is. I think everyone's excited for the series down in Odessa, and I mean, you got to be excited for that one as well.
Yeah, I mean it's the Austin Hose rivalry series. You know, we like you mentioned last time, there's some big things on the line here going into Odessa this weekend. So I know our guys have been working really hard the right way in practice the last few days. So it gets me excited and where they're at and where their buy-in is really come along here and what we're doing.
Yeah, well, speaking of the buy-in, I mean, really, it's been definitely a different look Amarillo Wranglers side over these last 4 games. And for you, what do you credit that to?
I think the guys have good minds and the leadership's starting to do a lot of good things where our structure is starting to be seen a little bit more in the way that we're playing. Guys are seeing that it's working. The trust in the system is where you get the buy-in, you know, and I think the guys are starting to see what works for us, and so it's good seeing that kind of evolve into what our game is and what it needs to be.
Yeah, and really, obviously, there's two sides to the coin that I look at for special teams as of late. The penalty kill has been really good, and power play has had a lot of good looks. Kind of how do you get that last little oomph to your power play opportunities where you're getting a lot of good looks down low in front of the net. You're getting a lot of good shots from top of the slot, some good shots from the point. Really, what is it that's kind of that last little puzzle piece for just capitalizing on the power play?
Yeah, I think it's just the willingness to be a warrior to get that final touch and score, and um, that's where our guys I think did um, a fairly good job against Shreveport a couple weeks back, where they were shooting to score, and they did a lot of that. We got majority of those power play goals on that weekend were off of strong, heavy shots coming, attacking the net, and we had opportunities against Corpus of having those similar shots. Goaltender played a little bit better than what we've seen, and so it was now just trying to capitalize on those secondary and third opportunities on the goalie. I think that was a little bit of a difference between the two series on the power play. Definitely a lot of good movement going on against Corpus this past weekend, and just had to get that will to finish on the net front a little bit better.
Yeah, now with Odessa, they seem like kind of this team that's really turning on as of late. They've been on a bit of a hot streak, but this team has been a little bit of a hot streak killer themselves. I mean, you look at when Shreveport came into town, they were on a little bit of a heater. Same with Corpus. What is it you got to do to make sure, though, you don't have a series where it felt like on Saturday there was a chip on the shoulder for Corpus to get back in the win column?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought with both teams on Friday, in my opinion, didn't play up to par, and I thought, it was a more separation of a score on Saturday, but I think both teams played a lot better overall, and Corpus had some good finishes on their power play that we didn't defend the right way, and um, there's always a little buzz after losing a Friday night game. There's going to be a fire, so it's up to the team that wins on that Friday night to rebuttal with that same kind of energy that they just won with.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the physicality not fully being there on Saturday night, and kind of for you, what does that physicality look like on a given night for the Wranglers that they need? I mean, obviously, I look at Friday where everybody's finishing their checks. There's a lot more pressure on the blue line. Is it really just kind of the basics of physicality for the most part?
I mean, it's just all energy. It's what we could do with energy, creating it ourselves within the team to fuel everyone else. It's contagious. Energy is contagious. Negative energy is contagious. So we want to strive for the good energy, and that's what I think is a big separator in our games is when we bring energy compared to um, not having it. And I think on Saturday, like it was a well-rounded game. Just we were just lacking that energy, for puck separations and hit contacts. And every team has their own goal and what they're trying to achieve too on um, how many contacts they want to make in a game. And for us, we try to stick to the standard of what we're teaching the guys of that.
Now, let's say you got the energy, you got the physicality going, you got the team firing on all cylinders, but they're just really matching you evenly on that. What is something that then you look at and say, okay, this is what we need to do to create a spark?
I mean, when it's all a matched game like that, it's basically all about who's playing the simpler game, who's going to play with a little bit more less risk in their game to really counter whatever attack is coming at you. So you got to take the risk out of it a bit when that happens, and make sure that you are playing a defensive-minded game to capitalize on the offensive opportunities. And I think at times our guys are still trying to find their way on that, and you could see it too with how the structure's been coming along in our team and the guys that they've been doing. It's been building up the right way, and the same goes. In that falls in the same category. So I mean that's kind of like what you need to be doing when you have a equally matched team, and try to find a way to play a more simpler hockey game.
Now, what would you say, let's say you got a forward who he's been playing phenomenal and every aspect of his game has looked really good in the last few outings, but hasn't gotten on the score sheet. How do you kind of help him get over that little hump and just kind of, hey, I know you haven't been on the score sheet in a few games, but you're playing really good. Is it kind of just, hey, the goals and the assists will come with time? Is that more or less what it is?
I mean, all of our players know it's a process, so that's the beauty of it. So it's everything they're going through is a process of how they're going to be contributing, and if they're not getting on the score sheet, they know that what they're doing next is still working towards that process. Because if there's a there's a fine line between a player saying that he's in a slump and a player that is continue to learn. So I think a slump is a very negative term. I don't like to ever use that on players and say, hey, you're in a slump right now. Because a slump basically means you're flatlining at the level in which you're at, and you're not exceeding where you've been. And I think every player right now in this moment on our team is better than they were last week at the same time. So I don't think there is a slump in that. It's a process that guys understand that they keep digging and keep putting in the work the right way. They're going to eventually contribute on the score sheet, but the conversations that we have with players is all about what's going to be your contribution to the team, and so that's for us is the bigger picture of what we're doing here. And it could be hundreds of things that contribute to that, whether it be um, the way that a player just needs a forecheck a little bit harder with a better stick and commit to being an F1 to, is he going to make himself better as a human being and go help Brandy pass out teddy bears? It's all of this is a process, and for us, ultimately, we're trying to create these boys and make them into men and good human beings in the process too. And hockey is probably, the second thing on the list that um, is going to be in their development here, because we want to make sure that when guys leave this place, they remember what it did to them in changing their lives.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, you gotta imagine that kind of this whole mantra that you carry as a head coach has really helped these guys develop, where you seem to be really a player's coach, and you're not the kind of guy who's going out there cussing the guys out at the end of the first period if they're down 2-0 or something like that. For you, do you think that kind of plays into the big adaptability part, that guys are willing to be more adaptable when they've got a coach that they know isn't going to be cussing them out during the intermission and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, Hetty will tell you too. There's probably been a time where I maybe have cussed them out in between the period to get a fire under them. Um, for me, though, I mean, I'm all about the work that we're getting out of guys too when it comes to game time and practice, and um, I wins and losses are all part of the game, but uh, one thing almost every coach can't stand for is the lack of work ethic between a team, and that's usually the only time that I'll light a fire if I have a sense that the work ethic within our guys when they're playing isn't there. That's kind of the bottom line for me to uh, get them to motivate to. I don't say cuss them out, but like to basically motivate them to see what the goal at hand is.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it's got to be pretty difficult if you got somebody who's kind of not had that great of a work rate going. And how do you kind of handle that situation? Is it, you pull them aside, and, what happens then if you just kind of feel like the work rate still hasn't improved?
Yeah, if it's a constant thing and the work rate doesn't improve and it's just not for that player, he's not for us. At the end of the day, he won't play here, and he's not going to be a player that should be expected to be in the lineup if you're not going to work the right way. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, and then obviously as well, I mean, it really feels like this whole kind of thing I talked about on the air on Friday night. I called tricks of the trade because we got on quite a lot of talent in via trades and picking up guys from other teams as well. I mean, you look at the production out of the guys we've picked up. I mean, you got to be really happy with the work that has gone into that between you, Lucas, and GM Harry Mahood.
Yeah, I mean, Hoodie's been doing a great job at identifying the players that the team needs, and it's up to Stearns and I to coach them up the right way. Um, and then had a wonderful conversation with Hoodie over the weekend about how for us, like, we're never going to give up on a player. We'll have our sit downs with them, give them the tools, and lay it out for them of what kind of plan or development plan is going to be, and um, if they're the guy that wants to take themselves out of this team or lineup, then it's going to be on their own, and they just got to work for it. And for us, like, um, with the trades and the players that we've added so far in the last couple of months, um, you got to just give credit to what Hoodie does, and um, it's just been, like, Williams is starting to really come around to be a good workhorse for us, a really good depth guy that can produce. Haggerty has just been proven to be a really good threat on the offensive end. Um, I think Sean with us has played 2 games and hasn't won them, but man, does he compete, and he makes some big-time saves. And Tarasenko with his first week with us, only practicing once or twice, was able to handle himself pretty well. Got a lot of PK time being 6'7", and so he was able to cover a lot of space on the ice and defend the right way there. So I think all those players that I mentioned, there's probably some I haven't even can't even think of off the top of my head, but like all have been good for this team and this organization because um, they've all been good human beings too. And with that, I find a lot easier for them to be coachable.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what has kind of bred success with this team as well, and I think about this, is just kind of being out in the community. I mean, you see what these guys are doing out in the community for the people of Amarillo. I mean, you got Toys for Tots, and obviously the Teddy Bear Toss is a big one as well. These guys, they're just always out there giving their time to the people in the community. And do you think that goes hand in hand with
Absolutely,
how
yeah.
they've been?
I mean that's another thing too. Like they start to buy into um, what our owners expect out of them, you know. And like I I tried to right away. We had a break there in the November time, and the first thing we did when all the players reported back, we had a huge, um, community service event where the whole team was there. And for Stearns and I, it's very important that we're showing up at that as well to lead by example as coaches, to show these guys that it's not just them, that we're able to help out and do our part um, in just the smallest way of just showing up. And that's this week here we had a Santa Claus skate. We had it last night. We got it tomorrow night as well at the Ice Ranch from 7:30 to 9:30. That'll be a great time. We'll have players there helping out. I think we had 4 or 5 different locations where we were able to hand out hundreds of teddy bears that were thrown onto the ice yesterday with Brandy and all the places she went with a handful of the guys. And we're at the Bubba's Santa on the porch tomorrow here at Bubba's again, and that's going to be a great time. We'll have a handful of players here, a handful of players at the Santa Claus skate, and everything that the guys are doing here. What I really like is how they show up and they're being pros about it too. And they really learned, and we had some good leaders come up. If you guys had a phone in his hand, hey, put that away. He started guys presenting themselves and wearing the right things without even me having to mention that. They just know like what it means to represent the logo when you're out in the community. So that's awesome to see our guys do that, and it's a direct contributor to how they're going to be playing, because if they're able to buy into um, what the team wants to do and the ownership wants to do to the community and help out the community, you have a real good buy-in there with the systematic play and all the structure that we have in our game.
Yeah, and it feels like the biggest change that I've noticed has been just the culture around this team has been so positive, and it just seems like all the guys are always having a great time hanging out with each other, whether it's on the bus, away series, at home in the community. And I think a lot of that boils down to long-term success for this organization, as well as, you know, it, to you, if you were a player entering juniors and you had an opportunity to go somewhere, would you rather go to somewhere where it's all about culture and making sure that they're developing guys not only on the ice but off the ice as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very blessed and fortunate to be in organizations that had a really good culture. There's also, some as I was growing up through um, like midget all the way up to college, there's probably an organization here and there that didn't have good culture, and you saw there was not a lot of success with those teams and the way that those teams were after the fact. And um, that's a big thing for me when I was a player, to make sure I was in the right organization um, to have a good culture. And with good culture, you have good leaders. Good leaders generally have pretty good teams. And I think that's what, when I was in college at St. Norbert, I think they had a really good culture there that is still long lasting for what GKP means there for anyone who is from St. Norbert and knows what that is. But that's a big thing for the graduates and the current players there, of how you conduct yourself on the ice and out in the classroom, what you're doing after you graduate and everything like that. It's always like kind of stuck in the back of your mind. So I think being a part of a good culture is one thing I've always excelled at as a human being and as a player, and I think you're starting to see that a little bit more because we do have a really good leadership group. You can't just name Rasega and Miller because you got Edquist and Dolan that are going to be talking to you, and they're part of a leadership group that we have. So it's been getting bigger, and I think with that, once we are doing a lot of that stuff, that's where you're seeing a lot of this takeover from the team in the locker room, and the structure starting to be a little bit more fine-tuned. So it's an exciting time for a coach to see how the players are acting, conducting themselves, and playing the game.
Yeah, and then last question for you here, because we do have Hayden Dolan here, like you were just talking about, kind of break down for those tuning in really what each of them bring to this team.
I think Dolan brings a really good depth into the offensive part of our game with him being a power play guy and having a really good set of skill, really good shot, good vision. He's been really transforming his game to be more on the gritty side, and I think he hasn't been producing in points, but he has been getting on pucks a lot better and owning the ozone and helping out his teammates a lot more better now than he has been at the beginning of the year, and that's all a credit to him and his willingness to be coached and listen to the conversations that we have together. And like Hedquist is a guy that on the back end is reliable, steady, and one that also goes out in almost any situation. He's got a lot of power play time as of lately, and early on he was a really heavily relied upon penalty killer, and obviously he'll play 5-on-5. So Hayden is a kid that I think just has really gotten comfortable now with the coaching that Stearnsy and I are implementing on him, and he's very much gotten comfortable in his voice in the locker room and helping out others and being a leader there as well.
Yeah. Well, Coach, thanks for hopping on. We'll
Yeah,
have
thank you, Danny
assistant
Mike.
coach Lucas Stern over there join us now for the coach show. Well, Stearnsy, how are you doing?
Wait, I can't hear you. The
Okay.
microphone's not on yet. Okay, now they're on. What were you saying?
All right. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. As they say, it's one day closer to game day. That's always kind of one of the best feelings. Is kind of when you get to that Wednesday, Thursday, you're getting ever so closer to those game days, and those are always fun. Well, talking about game day, really for you, what is going to be the key thing limiting Odessa on in order to give success to the Wranglers on Friday and Saturday?
I mean, we've had success against them in the past, and really it just comes down to the preparation that not just Hillsy and I are doing off the ice, but how the boys are preparing on the ice, the work that they've been putting in practice. Like, really just having some really good attention to detail, giving everything they have in the reps that they're getting, and then just going out and executing, really just putting your work boots on, or cowboy boots, I guess you could say, and just really playing the Wrangler way that we know they can, and it really doesn't matter who we play. Like if we're playing like that, like it's going to be a really good game, and we're going to set ourselves up to have a really good opportunity to come away with not just 2 points, but 4 on the weekend. So Hillsy and I we're excited for it because that's kind of what you look forward to is the weekends, but just every day is a preparation day, and just one day closer, just a little bit more prepared.
Yeah. Well, obviously, for kind of this halfway point, how would you digest and put into words how this season has been so far in the first half for this team?
I think it's been a good season where there's been a lot of learning, where you've seen guys really step up and have some elevated roles, and not just accept those different roles, but really be excited about it. I know we have Hayden Hedquist here, and at the beginning of the year, like he wasn't on power play, and um, he understood that like he was taking a lot of pride in his defensive game, and he was really excelling in it. And then it's hey, you got a little better, and so now it's time to add a little bit more, and add more tools to your toolbox, and now he's playing power play as well as penalty kill, even strength, and he's really taken a liking to it, and he's doing really well. So, I think that's a really good example of just our season where it's learning, and um, guys coming in from other teams, learning our system, learning the way that we play, and learning how to do it the right way to not cheat the game. So, I think learning and gaining experience is a great way to sum it up, and it just makes for an exciting rest of the season.
Yeah, so obviously, when you get a guy that comes back from injury, let's say they've been out for, more than a month, kind of what is the best way to integrate them back in? And then obviously, because they're going to be wanting to get out on the ice and get game time, and they're going to be like, hey, coach, I'm good to go, put me in the starting lineup. But really, kind of what does it take for you guys to see out of them, if they get into a game where they're getting back into that starting lineup, if they're a guy who's been in it, a handful of times before?
I mean, really, the first thing that we do, and we have to give so much credit to our athletic trainer, Lisa. Like, she does an incredible job. Just if the guys are feeling under the weather, if they're hurt, like, she is, going above and beyond. And she doesn't get enough credit or talked about enough, really, because, without her, who knows where we would be. We had a lot of injuries at the start of the season, and she was on top of tracking every single, one of their recoveries, how they're doing every single day, every week. Like, she's, giving them PT exercise. Like, she does a phenomenal job. So we have to shout her out and give her so much credit. So, first, for Hilsey and I, it's whatever she kind of says is, hey, like, they can go no contact, or hey, they're cleared, they're good to go full go. And then it's just a matter of getting their legs back under them, and not necessarily throwing them to the wolves, I guess, if it's something where like they've been out for like a month. If it's hey, they're out for a couple days, like, it's a little bit different. But someone that's been out for an extended period of time, you don't want to put them in a position of failure. You want to put them in a position to succeed. Excuse me. So really, it's just keeping an eye on them, and we have a pretty good finger on the pulse of each of our players of when they're able to go full speed and full contact, full minutes, full reps. So it's just a process that it varies from player to player, injury to injury. But the only thing that is the same, no matter who it is, and I'm guilty of this myself, even as a coach, is as a hockey guy, it's hey, I'm good to go in 3 weeks. No, I'll be ready tomorrow. I'll be ready tomorrow. Put me in.
Well, obviously, one thing that I want to talk about, I looked at this over the past few days here, is, I mean, Charles-Antoine Girard comes back from injury. He was dealing with a bit of an injury there. Then it just kind of felt like it was still a bit of coming back from this injury, because obviously you're not going to be 100% when you come back, but it really feels like Charles has been in peak performance mode. I mean, in his last 3 games, he's 3-0, a .956 save percentage, and a 1.5 goal out average. I mean, is that really kind of something that goalies kind of deal with similar to other guys? I mean, I know the mental game is so big for netminders, but do you think that when they come back from an injury, their mental isn't fully there just quite yet and it takes time?
I mean, goalies are, the way that I like to approach it and think of it is, and like, this is something that I stole from a good friend of mine, another coach, is, goalies are just like players. We're athletes. So it doesn't matter whether it's a goalie or a player. Like, you're always going to be a little bit banged up, especially in a competitive league like this, especially in our division. You're going to be a little bit banged up. So, really to just see him be a warrior and, step up when he was called upon, instead of saying like, I just don't feel it. He was like, no, give me the net. Like, I want it. And, the level of compete that both him and Sean have pushed each other to in practice and games, and in a healthy way to support each other. Like there's not that. I guess you kind of tried to allude to that like lapse in mental focus because they're always talking, and when I mean always talking, I mean they're always talking to each other. Um, after drills, they're talking. I'll explain what we're doing for our goalie training, explain the drill. Turn around to tell the players. I turn around and they're talking again. So, they keep each other sharp, and I don't know what they talk about. They could be talking about what their dinner plans are for all I know. Whether they're going to a Red Lobster, coming to Bubba's, or whatever it may be. But like, they keep each other sharp, and to circle all the way back. Like goalies are the same as everyone else. Goalies deal with tweaks and some soreness, but all the elite ones like we have here, like they find a way to just be a warrior and battle through no matter what when they're called upon.
Yeah, and then I know Hilly was talking about this a little bit. Sean's only gotten featured in 2 full games, and unfortunately we haven't been able to pick up wins in those games. I mean, how do you kind of have those conversations with a netminder who is playing really good, but just isn't getting the wins? And, it's really kind of one of those situations where you got to keep the mental in check for them.
It's hard, because it's a different mindset than a couple other positions in a way where if you have a bad shift as a forward, like, hey, I wasn't in my spot, okay, they had a clean breakout, we didn't keep the puck in, okay, you go back to the bench and, you wait a minute, then you get back out there, you do it the right way. Goalie, you mess up, they put a 1 or a 2 on the scoreboard, so like it's a little bit different in some aspects because, it is, the last line of defense, and in theory the puck should never get to the goalie, but it's hard because you want to remind them that, like, hey man, like mistakes happen, like you don't have to be perfect. Even if a goalie gets a shutout, like there's mistakes in a goalie's game, and just reminding him and Gerard that, like, hey, like it's like if you allow 1 or 2, like that's like you want them back, but that doesn't mean you had a bad game. So it's just been talking to Gavin and letting Shauner know that it's like, dude, you're playing outstanding. Like there's really not much that I have to critique and give you feedback. And I think he saw that when we were in film where we talked through the goals, and it's, hey, this is what I see here, and we had some good conversations, and he just asked, like, hey, like what's something I can clean up in my game, and I told him what I'd like to see kind of change a little bit, and he's been just snap of the fingers actively trying to change it because he's just that competitive, and he just wants to help lead this team to success. Like he's hungry for it, and he's giving us chances to be in the game and chances to win in both of the starts. And even though the result hasn't been there, like he gives us a chance every night. And to have 2 goalies that do that, like it's pretty outstanding.
Well, Coach, thanks for hopping on. We'll have Hayden Hedquist join us.
The number 14 power play specialist.
Well, I highly suggest doing the 1-ear thing so that way you can hear me. There you go. Yeah, that's what I have to do in the broadcast booth. Otherwise, I can't really hear myself think. All right. Well, first of all, how are you doing tonight? Number 1. Number 2, what did you get to eat from Bubba's?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. I got the Philly cheesesteak with tater tots. Very key component. You got to get the ranch on the side, though, to dip the tater tots in. Makes it a lot better.
He gets it. He gets it.
Better.
Genius. Well, first of all, how would you digest this season so far for yourself, and kind of what you've liked so far out of your game, and what is maybe 1 or 2 things that you think that you're still looking to improve upon?
I mean, So I'm going to start with the bad here. I think the coaches and I have come to like an agreement, a lot of silent stick. It's not so much moving your feet recently. It's just keeping your stick a little bit more silent, just putting it out there. It's kind of a little distraction of people. They tend to, I don't know, fumble the puck into your stick normally if you just stick it out there. So that's kind of been one of the key components that we've been working on the last month. And I think when I actually end up doing it, then it does help a lot that they do know what they're talking about, believe it or not, Danny. They do.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, I think just getting pucks up, getting them out of the D zone, if I have to pin somebody in the D zone, I think that's, going pretty well with that. And then making the plays just off the ice, getting it out of the D zone as quick as possible, whether that's chipping the puck off the glass, making a tape-to-tape pass, whatever we're doing for that game.
Well, I talked to Hilly about this, and it really feels like the culture around this team has been very positive, and that all the guys on this team have just been meshing so well throughout this season. I mean, kind of what do you accredit that to?
I think it's just comes down to like our locker room. Like when we show up to the locker room every single day, like we all have a smile on our face, we're all talking to each other. And then it goes past that, we're hanging out with each other. Like there's a team dinner tonight. I would say all the guys will be there. They're all just hanging out. Like nobody has to go to it, but it just shows that like we all come together. We're all there. Like it shows that our friendship goes much past the ice. And like when we're in practice even, like we're going at each other, but we still know that it's to make the next person better. I think like the competition that we do in practice really shows how we love each other, but yet, I'm still going to push you to be your absolute best. And
Well, I have heard you gotten to be a big PK guy, and really, when I was talking to them as well, they said that the biggest thing about your game is that you're just a reliant anchor back in the defensive area. And I think a lot of defensemen, that when they look at coming into junior hockey, what would you say is more important, being kind of that anchor D-man or being a bit of a two-way guy?
I think just being an anchor guy, definitely. Just being somebody that coach can put you out there in any situation. He doesn't have to worry about you. I think that would be way more important than, getting points up on the board. Your points will come from being just out there on the ice, making the right plays, doing the right thing, running the systems as coach says. And I think that just being that anchor guy is much more important than coming in thinking you're going to be a two-way defenseman, definitely.
Yeah, so obviously Odessa Friday, Saturday. If we get a sweep, I mean, I'm saying if because I don't want to jinx anything because, there's definitely the broadcaster curse is real. I've had it a few times in my career. But if you guys win both games, you are the winners of the Austin Hose Rivalry Cup. How does that, I mean, obviously, it's kind of just a piece of a accomplishment along the way, but do you think that can really propel this team going forward? I mean, I know Hilly talks about it, same with Stearnsy, that it's a one day at a time kind of thing, but do you think something like that really can put an extra little bit of pep in the step of these guys?
No, definitely. Just winning like a little something, showing that our team is succeeding, even though like if you look at the standings, we may not, like it may not look like we're succeeding, but just getting like those little wins like the Austin Hose Cup, like that can really spark us and keep us to, keep motivating and make that push to playoffs, definitely.
Well, it seems like you guys actually got a spark out of going on a 5-game losing streak, which obviously nobody wants to go on a 5-game losing streak.
No.
But you guys, as of late, I mean, you've really been the kryptonite for Shreveport this season, 4-0 against them. And I think we're currently up 3-2 in the series against the Jack Club. So there are those series where we do have a sizable lead, but it kind of comes down to a lot of really the second half of this season. So for you guys, what do you think is going to be the most important thing to kind of stand stout and resolute for the rest of the second half?
I think a big thing that we're going to have to do is play our roles as a team. That's been a big thing as of recently, the last 2 weeks, is just playing your role, identifying that. Like, if you're a goal scorer, we're going to need you to score. Like, we're going to lean on you a little bit more and more coming down the last half of the season. And if you're a guy that's going out there to kill penalties, like, we need you to do that. So I think just playing to our roles is really going to be a big stepping stone in this last half of the season, definitely.
Yeah, well, we'll end with two fun questions. And first of all, when you guys are on the road, I know you guys always got a lot of downtime, and you guys have been playing Among Us the last few times we've been on a away series. Who is the worst and best on the team at Among Us from what you've seen?
I have to say Tusaklis is probably the worst among us player. I mean, I don't even know if he's actually bad, but the guys just end up voting him out no matter what. And oftentimes he is the imposter, and I don't really know how it works, but I mean, he's definitely down there. I would say the top 2 players are probably Thorny and T.O., though. They're definitely like leading the command when it comes down to those meetings, and I mean, most of the time it's probably because they're the imposter trying to hide it up, but I think that's what makes them really well at the game, you know?
Yeah. So those guys definitely got a future in politics if they want, or human resources,
Definitely.
our PR. Well, another question for you. That's a little fun one here. That's kind of going to be our final question before we have Dolan join us on the Coaches Show. So, obviously, billets are a big part of junior hockey as well. So, first of all, anything you want to say to your billets? It's not the question part, but what has been your favorite meal that you've had from your billets so far this season?
This might be a little bit of a biased question because they asked me what my favorite meal was, and it was tater tot hot dish. A lot of people think that, it sounds terrible, but it was my mom's recipe, so I would say that. Otherwise, their tacos every week, they're so good. We had them last night, actually. I think I had 6 different tacos. So, I mean, that's definitely a fan favorite, but I have to put the tater tot hot dish first.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, always a good hot dish in the wintertime.
Exactly.
That's always something that feeds the soul, one of those kind of soul foods. Well, appreciate you hopping on.
Thank you, Danny.
And I'll see you on Friday. Well, we'll have Bambi himself. Well, Dolan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Well, first question, because I'm shocked I've never actually asked this, but how did you get the nickname Bambi?
So I got it in my first ever billet family in Canada. Like, I kind of came into the family as a small little guy, like skinny, not super tall. And I don't know, like their kids just start calling me Bambi. And it's like for the next 2 years I stayed with them. And I just liked it, so I decided to keep it.
Well, there you go.
As you could see, like now on my sticks, it says Bambi on the stick. So
That is great.
yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously for you, you're one of the younger guys on this team. And really kind of, what is it like being one of the younger guys on this team, but kind of feeling like you've progressed really well this season? I mean, what do you credit that to?
Honestly, I don't know. It's just like I like hockey, and it's always been my goal to improve, to get better every single day. Even if it's a little bit like something like eat the right way or just stretch for like 5 minutes, I think that helps a lot. So just every day I wake up with that mentality, like I have a new day, new chance to like get better. So let's go get it.
Yeah. Well, you're one of the smaller guys on this team, but it feels like sometimes the smaller guys on this teams underestimate how physical and tenacious you guys are. I mean, I look at guys like you and Resega, who might not be the tallest guys, but you guys are in the corners in the offensive zone all the time, just occupying 2 men on you. I mean, do you ever worry about, getting hurt in those kind of situations if you got a defenseman who's probably got a foot on you?
No, not really. He can be bigger or like taller than me, but I don't care because I think our height helps with with us being agile and like being good with our skating. So like the guy can be bigger than you, but if you're skating better than him, you're gonna get the puck.
Yeah.
Yes, he might push you off the puck, but you're gonna be there first. So no, we're not scared to go into the corners.
Well, obviously, being one of the international players on this team, what was 1 or 2 culture shocks being in America for you? Kind of like, what is 1 or 2 things about America that just kind of surprise you to this day still?
I mean, probably like sizes of the drinks, like portions overall. Like if you go to a grocery store, you're like, wow. Like for us, it would be something like large. For you guys, it's medium, and you're like, yeah, that's crazy. Or like I don't know, like in Texas, like everyone is wearing like cowboy boots and hats and like all about like rodeo and stuff, and you're like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Horses and like going out of nature, you're like, that's a new culture for me, new background, you know.
Yeah. Well, obviously, coming from Ukraine, what is kind of the hockey background there? I mean, it really feels like there's been a big boon in guys from Ukraine playing junior hockey in America. I mean, I got to imagine for you it would be a really big honor getting to be able to get a call up to your, national team.
I mean, I would say yes. I've been there multiple times in the training camps. Unfortunately, got cut like last rounds. But in my country, it's a bit also political stuff there with the coaches and thing. So I know a lot of good guys that never made it, even the roster for like training camp, unfortunately. But lately, it's been improving with the coaching stuff and players getting called up, all due to the situation that's happening right now there. Uh, Guys got a chance to play in Europe, North America, so they're developing new way, like modern way, and yeah, I think hockey in Ukraine is growing. Give it a few, I don't know, let's say 10 years, and you hopefully gonna see our national team compete against U.S. and Canada.
That'd be great. Well, I mean, it's got to be great having a fellow countryman in Oleski Koval on the team with you as well. I mean, you guys ever just, talk about stuff back home, favorite foods, anything like that?
I mean, like, it's kind of different for both of us. Like, he sees his family once in a while. For me, it's like I see them at best once a year. So, like, he maybe, like, misses his home food a bit more because he sees it more often. For me, I'm kind of used to it not having it around anymore. So, not really, no. It's different for me.
So what is your favorite Ukrainian dish if you had to think of one?
Uh, I would say it's vareniki, which is like it's similar to Polish pierogi with like it's a like dough stuffed with like either meat or like baked potatoes and stuff. It's amazing. I love it.
That sounds phenomenal.
Especially if it's like warm. Wow, I love it.
Yeah. For you, what would you say has been the biggest improvement in your game so far this season? And what is one thing where you look at it and you say, that's an area of my game that I need to work on a little bit more?
I will be honest. I would always lack the physicality, and I feel like this like league and especially like division taught me like how to be more physical and stable on my skates, like receive a hit to give a hit, and being able to make a play under huge pressure when the guy's like literally chasing you to like knock you down. So I think this is like the biggest improvement for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, you're one of the younger guys on the team, but Hilly was saying you're one of the more vocal leaders on this team. I mean, he was talking about how there's a leadership group. Yeah, obviously, Miller's captain, Resega's the alternate captain, but he's letting me know that there's a lot of guys on this team where they may not have an ARC on their sweater, but at the end of the day, they're a voice in the locker room. So, I mean, was that kind of a little bit of a learning curve for you as one of the younger guys on this team?
I mean, I wouldn't really say so because every team I have been around, I was always kind of in the leadership group, and it's not because of like the age or like my game and stuff. It's just like for me, hockey is everything, and I really want to like everyone to improve. Like I don't really want to say that I'm selfish. It's just like, of course, I like sometimes care about like my game, like let's say more than someone else's. But in the end of the day, we're a team, and if it's like you have to support every single teammate on your bench in the locker room. And some guys are shy, but like for me, let's say I would rather like scream aloud, like we can do it, and like it's gonna motivate like the guy next to me. And I've done it pretty much all my career, ever since I was like 8 or 7. So no, it's not new for me.
All right, well, fun question to end us off here. Between our two alternate kind of style jerseys, between the Arena Clowns and the Military Appreciation one, which one did you like more?
I would say they're both great because like I asked my previous billets to get me one because I really liked it. How it's like for me, it's always been my dream to play in the U.S. So it's like Amarillo Wranglers, my last name, my number, all this like American attributes on the jersey. So it's like I have to get it. I want to like bring it home to my parents. But when I was participating in the Ice Clouds reveal jersey, I saw them. I was like, that looks cool. Like I was
Yeah.
telling the guys, like that Slowkey looks like we're like Fortnite characters. That looks sick.
Oh, yeah.
So those jerseys are just special. They look both great. Just like one has different values. One is
Yeah.
more for fun, and one is just to, I would say, like to honor those who fought for this country, and they're just different values, but
Yeah.
both are cool.
Well, that's a great answer. I mean, clearly you got some media training in before coming here. I mean, you might have talked to Lucas Stern, who's one of the got a little bit of a side eye there from him. He's like, what are you talking about? Well, Dylan, thanks so much for coming on for the Coaches Show. That's going to do it for us. Thanks so everyone for tuning on in. And boys are in action Friday and Saturday in Odessa. You can watch those games on NAHL TV via the away feed, or you can tune into the audio-only feed on the YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Oh, hold on. You hopping on? Hold on. We're not done just quite yet. We got one more joining us. Are you hopping on? Well, is there anything you want to say to the Wranglers fans out there tuning on in?
I want them to make better scores at doing stuff and make sure they're learning more about hockey.
Oh, there you go. Excellent work. We got a future hockey coach on the mic right here.
Want to say hi, Mom?